Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world and whatever time you are watching this in the world, whether you're here with me live or catching up via the recording. Welcome to Cherish, our very first free masterclass for 2023, where we are diving in to the ecosystem of relationships. I am so happy you're here. It is going to be an amazing 3 days. I've spent a lot of time planning and nutting out what we're going to talk about in this masterclass. And it's February, it's for some people, this is the month of love. And I just thought it was a really great time for us to come together in 2023 and really open some good conversations with relationships. There's so many parts of relationships. There's so many areas we could be talking about. Like there's so many areas we're not even touching over the next 3 days. But I was very careful with the 3 principles I wanted to put out on the table for us, because I think these 3 are 3 of the most important, 3 of the biggest, if you like. But they are quite big and broad, so I'm going to bring them down and really narrow them down and make them really bite-sized for you. And if you can elevate in these areas, it's truly going to help you deepen and elevate the relationships that you have in your life right now and the relationships moving forward also. So let's begin. Thank you to those who have given up 4 o'clock on a Sunday to be here live. So let's just start with something really simple and easy, right? This masterclass has the power to change your life. And I just want that to land for a moment. Everything we are going to talk about has the power to change your life. Now, whether or not it does, well, that power is over to you. That is completely up to you. I am going to give you as much information as I can in the time we have together around the principles, those 3 principles that I've been promoting, which is all of them have called out to you, which is why you're here. It's up to you what you do with the information and the knowledge moving forward. Hopefully you'll have some insights along the way that you will note down for yourself, and you'll be able to dive into those insights and think about, you're all superhumans, think about where you're going to take that insight and how you're going to take that further and how you're going to use it to transform your relationship and your life. Not even, I don't know if I said it, I may have already said it, not even the relationships you have today, because now I'm just riffing, right? Not even the relationships that you have today, but the ones that you're going to have in the future. Now, if this is the first time you've ever seen me, you have no idea who I am, this is the first time you've come to any of my gigs, welcome, welcome. If it's not the first time and you're returning, of course, welcome back. I'm so grateful. But if this is the first time that you've seen me, just 4 things for you to know about me. I help high performers expand their minds into new opportunities, new possibilities, new ways of thinking, so they can create whatever it is they wish in their lives, in their careers, in their businesses, in their love life, in their relationships, and then lead and inspire others. And that could be in their career or their business, but that can also be in their personal life, and it can also be leading themselves further into a more fulfilling life. I live in a beautiful part of Australia, I think a beautiful part of the world, called the Mornington Peninsula, which is way down south of Australia, of Victoria. And I live here with my hubby, who I call Handsome Hubby, and our border collie, who has just turned 3, Ziggy Stardust, who is named after David Bowie and is actually, don't tell my husband. I was found in I can't remember if it was 2018 or 2019, probably should look that up before I talk about it. I was found to be in the top 6% of happiest people on the planet, which I'm really, really proud of, because about 12 years ago, I was probably one of the most unhappiest people on the planet. I would have been right down the bottom if I had been part of that survey back then. The world was very dark for me not that long ago. So to be found in the top 6% of happiest people sort of a decade later is something that I'm extremely proud of. They call it extraordinarily happy. And the other thing I want you to know about me is I struggled with relationships for many, many years. There's friendships I've struggled with. There were professional relationships I struggled with. There were sort of my relationship with upper management in my career that I struggled with. I enjoyed my career. I loved my career, I had a flourishing career. But there was some struggles and some challenges along the way. And don't even get me started about dating. That took years. I didn't even meet my husband until I was 41. That was a great area of growth for me for many decades. But very happy to say, and I'm completely open and transparent all the time, with the help from my coach, I have worked through all those struggles and those challenges. And now here I am today and continue, you know, because relationships are evolving and we continue to work through them. But thankfully, I have support and help and guidance, and I make my way through. So please, if you're here live, if you can let me know in the comments why you're here. It's going to help me with examples. It's going to help me pull the right case study out. Even today, I don't plan everything down to a T. Those of you who have worked with me for a while are probably thinking, oh my gosh, she hardly ever has PowerPoint. I've just been thinking a lot over the summer holidays. I had a break, that some of us are very visual learners. So I thought it's just really adding another element for our senses, and another way that our minds, our brains are distraction experts. They're distraction machines, and it's just giving your brain something else to focus on, I think, rather than just my voice. There's also some writing there. But if you can let me know in the comments, even out of the 3 areas that I was promoting, energetics, emotional intelligence, courageous communication, if you can just let me know, is it all 3? Is there 1 or 2 in particular? Is it in your professional life or your personal life? If you can let me know that, that's going to be really helpful for all of us, going to help me help you over the next 3 days. While you're doing that, I am just going to keep riffing along. You've taken the time to be here. So you're either here live, so you've blocked out this time, or you've blocked out some time to watch the replay or listen to the recording. You're here, you may as well be present. You may as well be present. There are 3 levels to learning or of learning. 1 is we hear something. Oh, I didn't know that before. 2 is we hear something and we think about it and understand it. Oh, okay, I thought about that a bit, or I researched that a little bit more. I now really understand it. And then the 3rd is we implement it. And when we implement something and put it into practice, this is when the magic happens. So while you're here, either watching me or you're listening to me, if you've got something to write on and write with, take notes. This is going to help you stay. Like I said before, our minds are distraction machines. It's going to help you stay here. If you are here live, please feel free to jump in the chat box at any time to ask a question or to make a comment or to say that resonates or yes, I understand. It helps you stay engaged, and it helps me know that I'm on the right track. And I haven't, you're all following me, because I can tend to jump around a little bit, as some of you know. The replays and the recordings will be available afterwards via the Sky High Coaching app. Now, the app, I'm very proud of the app, new last year. The app is available in the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. You can download it from there, or a couple of the emails I've already sent to you, I had a link. The app is compatible to phone, tablet, and desktop and laptop. So you don't have to have it on your phone. It's not required. You can use it sort of like a website on your laptop or your tablet. But that is where the replays and the recordings will be. There's also, I've linked us up, those in the masterclass here, I've linked us up to one of the communities in there, which is called the Sky High Coaching Community. So it's the main community. If you have any questions, if you want to share your home play, if you have an insight you want to share, if you just want to tell me something, that's the place to do it. So jump in that community and please tag me. So you can tag me the way we tag in any other social media tool, forum, software, with the little @ symbol. If you tag me, I receive a notification saying that you've tagged me. Your name will come up and everything. Such and such has tagged you in here. So, and then I can click straight through. If you don't tag me, I may not see it. So please tag me if you're going to reach out. The competition is so exciting. You do have the chance to win a coaching package up to the value of $2,222. And everyone who has registered is in the running for that prize. If you refer someone, and registrations are still open and will be until Wednesday or until we finish Tuesday, you get another chance. So if someone did refer you to this program, this masterclass, please either shoot me an email or let me know in the community or let me know in the chat, and we'll make sure that the person who referred you gets another chance. So much fun, so exciting. Okay, let's read. Issues in past, emotions and communication. Great. Can always improve and work on relationships. I'm interested in all 3 areas. I feel that I'm still evolving and navigating through the areas of energetics and courageous conversations. Repeating patterns from the past. The story about a client of yours where their past scenarios repeated in the new workplace. Yes, I'm going to talk about that today. This has happened for me in work and romantic settings. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me know. Keep the chat box open. You're more than welcome to keep contributing to the conversation as I go through. The inspiration for this masterclass, this is the 2nd year it's run. Last year, it was called Cherish. It was run at the same time. And I went out to, I call single sapiens only. So it was very tailored to dating, to calling in the one, finding the one, self-love, self-worth. And I received a lot of emails from people saying they wanted to come, but they weren't single. So I thought, and back then I said, I promoted it as, there's already people registered, they're expecting to come in and everyone be single, and this is what it's about. But this year I have opened it up further, and the point, well, I was about to say it doesn't really matter, but the principles we can use the principles in dating, at work, in our family dynamics, in our friendships. So, and you're going to see that as we go along. And as I said, registrations are still open. I will be opening some opportunities along the way for those of you who would like to do some further work. If you're interested in that as we go along, I will let you know that I'm about to talk about an opportunity or an offer. You can stay on the call or you can leave. It's absolutely fine, completely up to you. Just letting you know that'll be happening. Not today, but it will be happening over the 3 days. So stop and just have a think now. And if you're here, I'd love you to post it in the comments. Your next question, not letting you fall asleep. If you're watching the replay, then write this on your notepads, because, our words are our world. Have it for you. What's your intention over the next 3 days? Is it to see how many insights you can have? Is it to listen for something new? I can already see some of you have worked with me before. Some of the stories will be the same. Are you going to listen for something new? You're different than when you heard the story the first time, right? So are you going to really look for something new? Is your intention to turn up live to every single masterclass? Is your intention to Do the home play and post it. What is your intention? Just to get to the end? Is your intention to watch every or listen to every replay? So set your intention now. Your words are your world. Wake your brain up. So now what? So first one's come through, listen for new insights. So your brain is now, that's what we're doing. We're listening for new insights. You've now woken your brain up to that intention. So thank you so much. I'll keep going. If you're still typing, I'll come back to it. Absolutely fine. Just conscious of everyone's time, right? So my intention over the next 3 days is to show you how cherishing yourself and deepening your self-love will elevate your relationships. We think our relationships are kind of reliant on the other person a lot of the time. What I want you to see over the next 3 days is how actually turning inwards and looking at how you treat yourself, how you show up for yourself, how you honor or not yourself will actually elevate your relationships. And we're going to talk about what self-love is and what it isn't. There's a misconception, and it's really funny. I just heard this or read it. No, I read it in a book last week, because I listen to things and I read things, and I read that it was in the book. It's like, yeah. We think self-love, we mix it up with pleasure. So a manicure, a massage, a pedicure, champagne with our friends, going to an art gallery, eating beautiful food, like that's pleasure. And we still want pleasure in our lives, but it's not self-love. Self-love is so much deeper than pleasure. By being here, I'm doing something for me, and I want to focus on my family relationships. Okay. Can you just let me know, if you don't mind following up, is that intimate family or extended family? That would be, or your fam, do you know what I mean? Just so I know, are we talking about in-laws? Are we talking about your family unit, your childhood family unit? You know what I mean? Like, you can let me know. That would be really good. Your family. Right. Thank you. Okay. So let's dive in. Cherish. Your words are your world. I actually had a client say to me really recently, one of the things she loves about me the most is how I name my programs and how there's a lot of thought put into it. And there is. It takes me a whole program can sometimes be written before it's named, because I can sometimes get too caught up in what to call it. So important to me. So the definition of cherish is to protect and nurture. Unfortunately, many of us have been raised and taught that we protect our hearts more than we nurture our hearts. We've been taught to protect our hearts more than nurture our hearts. And that's either been via people who were very well-meaning and loved us and didn't want us to get hurt or make the same mistakes they made, right? And it can also be from a direct experience you had when you were younger and you thought, okay, ouch, that hurt, I'm going to close my heart there. And that doesn't have to be when you're a child. It could be teen, it could be adult, young adult, older adult. Things happen to us, we seem to think, when often they're happening for us in life, that will make us close our hearts because it hurt and we don't want it to happen again. But that's not going to help you create fulfilling relationships moving forward. So the 3 conversations we're going to dive into are all going to, they're going to segue nicely into each other. They all lead on from each other. They're all, they interact with each other. When I was kind of mapping this out, I had them in a triangle. I just drew a triangle and they were one was on each point of the triangle and there was a big U in the middle, right? So they're all interconnected. We're going to be talking about, not today, but we're going to be talking about courageous conversations. How do you know how to say no with elegance and grace? Can you request for your needs and desires to be met in maybe an intimate relationship, with your friendships, with family dynamics? Like that can be harder. At work, are you able to provide performance feedback? Now that sounds really corporate-y, doesn't it? And the corporate feedback, or if you lead a team, is part of it. And not even leading a team, so many organizations now do 360 feedback. So you might be providing feedback to a colleague or your boss. Can you do that clearly and kindly? But not only in your professional life, but can you also do this in your personal life? Can you say to a friend, I don't like that thing you did? Or can you say to your partner, I didn't like the way you spoke to me yesterday or then before? So can you give performance feedback? Very corporate line, but let's extend it to every area of our life clearly and kindly and concisely. Do you lean into courageous conversations because you understand your worth and you understand that deservedness actually isn't a factor? I don't care if you deserve it or not. You can have it, right? We're going to talk more about that when we talk about courageous conversations. Is it easy for you to harness your courage? You're brave. People who have courageous, authentic, open conversations are very brave. Are you unafraid of the word no? How many of us are so scared of the word no? Or rejection? Are you unafraid of disappointment? Statistics tell us the thing we're most terrified of as human beings is public speaking and dying. Everyone I meet is terrified of disappointment. And have you mastered the skill of a courageous conversation? No one taught us. I don't know about you. Maybe you were lucky when you were younger. No one taught me how to have an assertive, authentic, courageous conversation. So have you learned the skill? Have you learned a technique? There's different techniques. Have you learned one? And then if you have learned one, have you mastered it? And the only way we master things is to do them. Practice over and over, the third level of learning. So have you mastered the skill? And do you understand there's one common component in every single relationship you have, in every single area of your life? There's only one constant, unless you're having the same conversation with the same person over and over. Actually, that just dropped in then. Thank you. The commonality is you. You're in all the conversations. And as we go through these next 3 days, it's always going to be coming back to you, which is why we want to work on us and turn inwards. We're also going to be talking about emotional intelligence. That's not today either. We're not starting there. And in a nutshell, it has many different definitions, but in a nutshell, it's the understanding of how your actions and your behaviors affect the people around you. And do you have the ability to respond to a situation that may have raised emotion in you rather than react? Do you have control of your emotions, or do your emotions have control of you? And a little side note, kind of fun note about emotional intelligence, it's now the number one, I was going to say this, which is why the word isn't coming, thing is not the technical term that organizations are now looking for when they recruit, is in emotional intelligence. Because so many of us, particularly when you get to a certain level, we've all got the skills, we've all got the training, we've all got the qualification, we've all got the experience. Who has the most elevated emotional intelligence. Skill, quality, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Quality, I'm gonna go with quality. Thank you very much. So how do you react when something doesn't go your way, doesn't go the way you expected, doesn't go the way you hoped? Do you yell, slam doors, fly off the handle, say things you regret and have to go back and apologize for later? Are you ready to fight? Are you combative? Or are you, there's a flip side. Do you shut down? Do you punish with silence? Do you cut people off? Do you withdraw? Or do you, we all do it, right? Where you get really angry inside and then you just don't say anything and then you just get angrier and angrier. And sometimes you can even have a whole conversation with the person in your head. I'm getting some people nodding, right? We have the whole conversation. We have the whole argument in our head. Doesn't seem to change anything though. Or do you understand that there's only one person responsible for your emotions? And that person is you. This can be a bitter pill. But it's everyone else's fault how I feel. Well, there's only one person responsible for your emotions. And that's you. No one else has access to your inner feelings, your inner thoughts, your inner emotions. No one else has access. Yeah, we let children get away with it. I ignore and withdraw from the, welcome. I ignore and withdraw from the relationship. There you go. Very self-aware. And self-awareness is a big part of emotional intelligence. And we'll be talking about that when we dive into emotional intelligence. So yes, as an adult, the only person that is responsible for your emotions, is you. What I want to talk about today is the why does this always happen to me? Why does this always happen to me? So this is the story that one of you wanted to hear more about. Why does this always happen to me? Why am I always experiencing the same people who create the same situations that usually don't work out for me over and over and over and over and over again? This was definitely me, in particular in the dating scene. Okay, so today is all about energetics. I just thought, let's just start with the really light, easy stuff first. Energetics and RAS. Does anyone know what RAS stands for? Okay. If you do, let us know. I'm going to tell you anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, reticular activating system. I was not going to talk about the reticular activating system today, but I felt when I was putting this PowerPoint together that I felt like I couldn't talk about energetics without talking about it. So you're welcome. A little bit of an extra piece of information for you. So let's begin. You're going to have, I just pause because I really want to really start this off well. You're all going to have a different level of knowledge and expertise on energetics. So if I'm saying, but I'm going to go right back to basics. And I know some of you have great understanding of it because you've been in my energetic programs before, like Taking the Leap. So, but I'm going to go right back to baseline, right back to fundamentals for those of you who are also here who may not have really ever heard of energetics before. It is quite a new field. If you're not sort of in the area I work in, you may not have heard about it before. And the reticular activating system, not a lot of people have heard about that if you're not really in the personal professional development area, because we just don't really talk about it it's just because it's my business, area of business. So if I'm repeating something that you've heard before, we've already had someone say, I'm looking for new insight. I'm focusing on you, insight. Keep listening, keep making your notes. I know every time I hear the same things over and over, I pick up something new every time, and my understanding of something deepens. So I have faith that there'll be something here for you, even if you've heard this before. So I'll do it in both halves. So energetics so what we're talking about with both of them is why we attract people and experiences. Now, not just, sometimes we attract a person and the relationship doesn't work out once, and then we don't seem to attract that situation again. That's because you learned, most likely because you learned from the experience. So you attracted a certain type. Now, please keep the chat box open. If I lose you, let me know. If you keep saying yes, 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 or thumbs up, I'll know that you're all still with me, and I'll just keep going. So if you've attracted someone to you once, the situation wasn't pleasing for you, maybe it was hurtful, maybe it was disappointing, and then that situation ended, that person left your life, either your choice or their choice, or organically, maybe it was just happened organically, no one really made the decision, and it hasn't happened again, then I'd be willing to say that you learned something from that experience. That is why these things tend to not happen to us again, because we not only learned the lesson, but we then integrated it. Does that make sense? And what I mean by that is, okay, I learned this about myself, I learned this about the situation, I learned this about that type of person and where the signals and the signs were maybe. And now I not only learned the lesson, but next time this event or situation, I feel it showing up again in my life, I'm going to respond differently. Does that make sense? I'm going to show up differently. So not only have you learned the lesson in that past experience, you've turned that into wisdom. And you're showing up differently the next time that situation has arisen. So energetics is all about the universe. The universe has said, okay, Janelle's learned this lesson. We gave Janelle this situation. She attracted it in, and I'll talk about how I would have done that. She's attracted it in. Great. She did great job. She did great work. She learned. She's had insights. She's thinking about how she'll handle that differently next time, how she'll navigate that situation differently next time. Maybe she's grown a bit braver. She's learned how to have a courageous conversation now. She won't shut down next time. She'll actually speak up. She'll be clear. She'll be kind. She'll hold her. She's really worked on her emotional intelligence. She's not going to react the same way as she did last time. She's going to have more hold of her emotions. She's stretched her emotional range. And so we're going to let's put this situation in front of her again, and let's see what she does. Now, if I walk my talk, I show up differently. I do all the things I maybe just told myself or my coach or, my best friend that I was going to do differently next time. It's done. The lesson's done. It's done. It's implemented. It's not this thing I'm going to attract over and over and over again. Does that make sense? Great. I've got some nods. So I will tell the story, or I'll finish telling the story that one of our beautiful superhumans here raised earlier. Was the story about the client I had, and I do have permission to tell the story because she wants everyone to learn from it, right? That kept attracting the same situation. So the story is, my private clients have access to me 24/7. Doesn't mean I always reply 24/7, but we've got some ways, some channels, communication channels that they can reach. I have clients all around the world. They need to be able to reach out at any time, and I just see it when I see it. Anyway, a local client reached out to me, and I happened to be near my phone or something, and was something had happened to work. It was 9 o'clock at night and she needed to get it off her chest, and she was just letting me know to get it off her chest. And I texted her because I could tell she was very upset. And I texted her and said, do you need to talk now? Because you seem very upset and I can talk now. So we jumped on a call, jumped on the phone. She's local. And she said, why does this keeps happening to me? This keeps happening to me. And I said, what keeps happening to you? And she said, every time I go into a new role, and she's very high level. She said, every time I go into a new, so now we're talking about board members. She's reporting to a board. And she said, CEO, she said, every time I go into a new role, one of the members of the board is out to get me. Every time. I'm saying every time. Every time. Every time. Every time. This happens to me every time. Every single one of them loves me except one. There's always one. And it's happened again, and then she went on her rant. So I said to her after she finished her rant, well, what do you do? If this has happened over and over, this isn't the first time this has happened. What did you do last time and the time before that and the time before that? And she said, I just quit. I just quit. I'm not putting up with that. Okay, right. So I just quit. So there's a couple of things going on here. She runs away from the situation, okay, from the experience that she's not enjoying. She wasn't looking for the lesson. So she can't implement anything because she's not even looking for the lesson. Now, there's a couple of things, right, so everyone's still with me. So she quits it. Well, she looks for another job before she quits her job because she's smart like that. So while she's looking for her other job, she's in a job, and this doesn't have to be in a job. This can be in lots of different situations. She's in a job where she's in stress. So when people say to me, I don't like where I work, I want to leave my job, often people will come to me because they want to move jobs. Right? I'll get a coach, I'll move, I'll get promoted. Makes sense, right? That makes total sensible sense. The first thing they think I'm going to say is, let's look at your LinkedIn profile, send me a resume, I want to have a look at it. How many applications did you do? How many recruiters have you called and told them you're on the market? No. The first thing we do is we get really happy where we work. That's the first thing that we do, which some of them, it takes a little bit to get their heads around. Now, this is why. So she's unhappy at work, board member in her mind. I don't know if it's actually true. I'm not there. I don't know. Could be true, could not be true. Could be her reticular activating system. I don't know, right? So she's in this job. This one board member's out to get her, as has happened in the past numerous times. Here we go again. Why does this keep happening to me? I don't want her carrying this over into her next role. And this is how she'll do it. Energetics and her reticular or her reticular activating system. So energetics, little science 101 lesson. I'm not a scientist or a quantum physicist, but I've done a lot of research and study on this over decades. Quantum physicists tell us, well, you learned in year 7 or grade 6 or, that we're all made out of atoms that spin around really, really, really quickly. And everything in the world is made of atoms that spin around really, really quickly. And the frequency they spin at, or speed is probably a better word, speed they spin at determines how dense something is or how airy something is or fluid something is. Yeah? Good. Great. Got some nods. Now, quantum physicists, without going into everything, if you want to learn more about this, come to Taking the Leap. My gosh, awesome program. We dive right into this. And it gets better every year because we learn more every year about quantum physics. But quantum physicists tell us that where the atoms are actually made mostly of air. And they're actually 99.9999999999999999% frequency and light. Space that's made up of frequency and light, which means we are 99.99999% frequency and light, and 1% the hard stuff that we can touch, matter. Still with me? Beautiful. Now, this frequency and light that emits from our bodies goes out and intermingles with everybody else's frequency and light and all the other frequency and light in the whole universe. Okay, we got a question. Oh, it still boggles my mind every time I hear it. I know, right? Boggles everyone's mind. Even quantum physicists don't really understand it. Right? So it intermingles with everybody else's frequency and light, and all frequency carries information. So the best example is your mobile phone. Another really good example is television and a radio. So radio in your car, you will tune into, I want to listen to Kiss FM. You push a button now, but in the olden days, my days, you used to turn a dial, right? And you tune in to the station you wanted to listen to, right? Nowadays, I'm like Smooth FM, right? Or the 80s ones. So that's what so there's information going out. I don't want to go too much into it. It's not for this program, and I can feel myself going too much further than I was going to. So there's that side. So now you've got a couple of things going on energetically. Okay. Energetics is emotion. Energy is emotions in action. So if I'm giving off the information that I'm sending out is directly linked, which is why we go straight into emotional intelligence tomorrow, is directly linked to my emotions. So if I'm in a job where I am so sick of this board member being out to get me every single time, and now I'm feeling fear that this is going to happen again, or I'm feeling frustration that this has happened again, or I'm feeling angry that this has happened again, or I'm feeling sad that this has happened again, those feelings turn into information and go out into the cosmos. And the problem is they're magnetic. We're magnetic. Now, this is all science. You can look this up. Okay? And we become magnetic to whatever is on that frequency. We're going to match in to the frequency. So if I'm feeling angry, frustrated, irritated, annoyed, fearful that this is going to happen again, I'm going to become a match for a situation that is going to bring me fear, frustration, anger, annoyance, irritation. And if I'm going into the same kind of role, then the easiest thing for me to be sent or to be attracted into is the same situation. Now, the other part that's going on is the part I was talking about before. Now we're getting spiritual. That's science. Now we're getting spiritual. So if you believe in a higher power, and I'm open to everyone's beliefs, if you believe in God, in a higher power, in the quantum, which is science, in soul, source, spirit, right? Whatever, you may believe that we're sent lessons, what I was talking about before. Now, if you believe that, and well, of course, it makes sense then that if you haven't learned the lesson, you're going to receive the lesson again. So you've remained an energetic match. So scientifically, you're emitting that frequency and communication, saying, this is the way, this is the station I want to tune into. So bring that to me again. If you believe in there's a higher power that sends us lessons in life, so we'll grow and evolve and learn, well, then it makes sense then that you're going to be given the same situation until you've not only learned the lesson, but you've integrated it. This is the tough part. We can learn the lesson over and over and over and over again. And you may have even had that situation where you've thought, I will never let this happen to me ever again. This will never happen ever again. And then it does. Like, what? I said that never happen again, right? You learned the lesson, but maybe you didn't integrate it. You didn't do something differently next time, which is tricky, because sometimes what we want to do is not step into the situation at all, and we think that's implementing it. No, I'll just never date again. That's implementing the lesson, right? That dating isn't for me, right? It's not implementing the lesson. It's actually that little part of emotional intelligence we were just talking about where we withdraw. Okay, I've still got nods, and I haven't got anyone saying yet in the comments, you've lost me, go back. Now, so that's science, spirituality. Now I want to talk about the reticular activating system. So the reticular activating system is what's going on between your ears. This is your makeup. This is a part of your brain. So now we're what? Biology, neuroscience, maybe biology. So I'm giving you all areas. So the reticular activating system is a part of your brain whose job it is to scan your environment for bits of information that are important to you. We, with all our senses, every sense that we have, we can pick up, pick up or tune into about, like, it's millions of pieces of information a second. But our brain, this is why we get overwhelmed sometimes. Our brain can't handle millions of bits of information. It can't process it. So it filters it down. And the filter is your belief system, your experiences, the way you think, but also your reticular activating system, what's on your mind right now. So it filters down. That's not important. Leave that. That's not important. Leave that. It's very clever. That's not important. This is per second, down to 7 pieces of information. Does that blow your mind? Your brain will filter millions of bits of information down to 7 per second. So this is where your reticular activating system comes into play. Its job is to decide what to filter out and what to let come in. Now, the phenomenon, you will know the phenomenon. If I decide I'm going to buy a white Mini car, what am I going to see on the road for the next 3 weeks? Right? White Minis. Because my reticular activating system has decided that that's important to me, because I'm thinking about it all the time. Okay, that's important. Filter that in, don't filter it out. Is this why when my toddler is having a tantrum, my reaction is to sometimes also have a tantrum? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know if you were joking, but maybe. Okay, so the reticular activating system is hooking on to things that you think are important. Now, if I'm in a job where I think someone's out to get me, and now I've gone into fear, someone's out to get me. I'm afraid someone doesn't like me, or I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job, or I'm afraid they'll tell other people I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm afraid that maybe they're right and I don't know what I'm doing and I shouldn't be here, I'm a fraud, right? So whatever way you look at it, if you are perceiving that someone's out to get you, then doesn't it make sense then that your reticular activating system will start looking for people being out to get you? We're on the lookout for the same situation happening again, fearfully scanning the situation and then acting out a certain way. Perfect. Perfect. The thing about your reticular activating system is it's not logical. It doesn't, if you're fearful of, I'm trying to think of an example, seeing a blue car because one ran over your foot recently, it's just going to show you blue cars. So it's not analysing whether that blue car is going to run over your foot again. Does that make sense? It's just going to show you blue cars. So this is the other problem I had, if we go back to this example, this case study, was until I could really work with her further, I didn't know whether people were really out to get her or whether it was her reticular activating system searching for that one person, every job that is out to get her. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of moving parts here. There's a lot to this. So why do we attract the same people and experiences over and over and over again? And as I said earlier, this isn't the one-off. This isn't the, oh, this happened, I stubbed my toe, it hurt. I'll just remember that there's a chair there and I won't do it again. And then you don't really think about it again. And every time you walk through the dining room, you kind of take a little bit further a step to the right when you go to that chair, when you see the chair, and you'd be doing that pretty much unconsciously. This is ouch, 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 ouch. Why do I keep stubbing my toe on this chair? So this is the situations that we're talking about. So if we're talking about professional, the bosses we've just had an example of, the colleagues, there's always someone at work that wants to compete with me. The other way we become an energetic match. So remember when I said we're magnetic, our emotions are in our body, they leave our body. If we don't have good emotional intelligence and we let our emotions take over and rule us, control, rule the place, your emotions leave. They go out into the universe as frequency, as information, and you become a match for someone else who's feeling that way, or someone else who shows up in the world that way. I've now become an energetic match. So if you're thinking about there's always a colleague that wants to compete with me. Well, where do you compete? Is there somewhere in your life you compete with others? That colleague is really judgmental. Well, is there somewhere you're really judgmental? Why are you becoming a match for them? We'll notice something in someone else that we usually don't like about ourselves. So customers, sometimes I'll have a client every now and then, my business owner clients will talk about, I've got a customer right now who has fallen behind in their payments. Now, if I'm working with someone who's got 100 clients or customers and there's one person, well, then maybe the lesson here, or you've attracted them in because your refund policy or your payment policy isn't very robust. So the lesson here, we need to look at how this person's getting away with not paying you and you're still providing the service or the product, and let's tidy that up. let's clean that up and then get on with life. But if there was some, get on with business. But then if there was someone saying 99 of my clients out of 100 never pay on time and are still receiving the product and the service, well, then not only will we, and we'd be looking at their processes, obviously, but if you wanted to look at energetics, where do they fall behind in payments? Where do they not say what they said they would do? You know, because they might be saying, these people promised me they'd pay me every month. Well, is there somewhere that you make promises and you don't deliver? Is that how that's become an energetic match? And so, like I said, this isn't about, very big disclaimer here, is this isn't about shame and blame for ourselves. This is about becoming really curious and conscious about how you're showing up in the world and how you're showing up in your relationships. And it's when these things are happening to you over and over and over again, like we all come across a nasty person and we all come across someone we don't particularly gel with at work, you know, from time to time. And there are things out there such as discrimination and unbiased unconscious bias. Unfortunately, those things exist. So this is about, I can't believe this thing keeps happening to me over and over again. Hope that makes sense. Personal when it comes to family. Sometimes, our siblings, even though we're adults now, will still treat us like the younger sibling, or our parents will still treat us like we're 14 or 15. I have this myself, like 14 or 15. Well, then, you know, if a client came to me with that, I'd be talking about, well, do you revert back to a 15-year-old, or do you revert back to the younger sibling? Act like the 50-year-old adult you are, or act like the 40-year-old adult you are, right? Friends. Now, this was a big area for me. And I'm going to talk more about this in emotional intelligence, because often we'll attract the same type of friends that take advantage of us, or don't treat us very well, or treat us disrespectfully. The core of that is self-worth. You know, this is what we're here to talk about: self-love, self-worth. We want to people please. We want them to stay friends with us. We don't speak up. We're getting into courageous conversations now. You're starting to see how it's all linked together, hopefully. And you know, we're not asking for what we want. We're not asking for what we desire. We're not asking for what we need. We're just letting people treat us the way they want to treat us. And then if we think, okay, I finally broke up with that friend, you know, maybe you didn't really do anything. Maybe it was organic, or maybe that friend just left. And now I've got this new friend, and oh my gosh, it turns out she's exactly the same as my old friend. So thinking about, maybe there's a lesson here that you didn't learn. You're still that match for that person. The spouse, the partner, the dating. Oh my God, the dating. I got a million stories about dating. Same type of bloke over and over and over and over. Non-committal, the players, the whole bit. We hear about people getting divorced or breaking up with their spouse or their partner, and then getting divorced again, and then getting divorced again, or breaking up again, because they're attracting the same person over and over and over. They haven't learned some lesson in there. They're not showing up differently. They're not, or they're so fearful that the same thing's going to happen again. Emotional intelligence, right? That they're on that frequency. The other thing that happens with dating is how we become an energetic match is, I've been hurt, and this, I really, really think this is, I went through this. I've been cheated on. No, it's often cheated on. I've been cheated on, right? So the next time, so I'm going to talk verbatim, I'm going to talk about it with my friends over and over and over. I'm going to re-experience it over and over in my head. So I'm going to relive it over and over and over. Then when I relive it, because my brain doesn't understand the difference between something being imagined and something being real, my brain thinks it's happening again. So all those emotions come up again. You know how you can raise emotions in yourself just by thinking about something? That's because your brain thinks it's happening in real time. So now I'm going to bring all those emotions up again. And because I haven't really worked on my emotional intelligence either, I'm going to let those emotions take over. And now that's going out into the ether as frequency, as a message, as communication. This is what I'm a match to. Now, all of a sudden, this person flows. I'm just going to say man because I'm heterosexual and I dated men. This man flows in and I think it's all great. And then I start going on dates with him, but he's been cheated on too and hurt too. And pretty soon, what do we start doing? I got cheated on. Yeah, I got cheated on. And this is how it feels. Yeah, this is how it feels. Oh, we're so the same. Yes, we're the same. Oh, we must belong together. Oh, we must belong together. But neither of us have healed. And neither of us have actually healed from that experience. But we become this match because we're on the same frequency of I'm a victim, I was hard done by, poor me, this happens to me all the time, yeah, me too. Oh, we're so good for each other, but we haven't really healed. And then we wonder why it's not a healthy relationship. And then it peters out or it ends. I had another little good example just dropped in for dating. Now it's gone. But can you see how we become? Oh, that's right. This is another thing I hear a lot of with my clients, and I was the same. And this is very much energetics. Well, yeah. So Janelle, I'm dating. I had someone say this to me last year. Beautiful, beautiful woman. And I have permission to tell you. She's very funny. I'm dating, and but what I've decided is I'm just going to date, and until I'm not getting hurt again. So until that person proves themselves to me, until they open their heart first and I can see it's open, well, then I'm just not going to open mine. Ah, who do you think you've become an energetic match for? Great. There's going to be two of you on the date going, I'm going to keep my heart closed until the other person opens their heart to me. This is going to work out well, isn't it? Great. So what I really want to come out, you to leave these 3 days with, and we're wrapping up on Valentine's Day on purpose, because I want the love, whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship, I want the love to be turned inwards. Self-love is, I really want you to finish these 3 days seeing that the more you love yourself, and also, and another big part of self-love, and we've already touched on it a little bit, I'm just checking time, oh, we're over, I'm sorry, is self-awareness. It's already been brought up today. If you know yourself, if you love yourself, if you trust yourself, if you can really elevate your emotional intelligence, which is what we're going to talk about tomorrow night, and so your emotions don't rule you, and you know you're no longer afraid of disappointment or rejection. When I was on the dating merry-go-round, in the dating circus, one of the things that I really took from it was I learned to reject with kindness and grace, and I learned to be rejected. And it no longer held power over me. I was so strong inside, so strong inside. Loving this, thank you. Unhealed wounds from childhood. If you think you have unhealed wounds from childhood, then you may want to seek help for that. But yes, absolutely. But not even just from childhood. It can be an unhealed wound from last year. You know? If it's unhealed from childhood, you've carried it around for longer. So it probably feels a little bit like part of your identity. So we have to kind of go, we have to go through moving that out of your identity. It's not who you are. And I had that, I carried around for a really long time, unconsciously, with all my friends, my family, that I was the poor girl that every man cheated on. And I was the poor girl that, men treated badly. And, I was a sympathy kind of benefits. So when something becomes our identity, we don't realize. Does that make sense? Right? So that's when you need help, because you need someone who isn't you. That's what going unconscious is. It's unconscious. We can't see it. It's when we need someone else to come along and look in and help you with that. So, but yes, you don't want to carry those around for your whole life, right? Okay. And what if you were practicing self-love, what would you do? You'd ask for help, right? Okay, so like I said earlier, energy is emotions in motion. And if our emotions, now this isn't about, and we'll talk about it tomorrow, but this isn't, you don't have to be high vibe all the time. That's what we think too, don't we? Oh my gosh, if I'm not high vibe, if I'm not excited, if I'm not high vibe, if I'm not really happy, if I'm not, spinning out of control and frequency, I have to be in gratitude and appreciation all the time. I'm going to attract bad things to me. Doesn't work like that either. You can have a bad day. We all do. Doesn't mean you're going to attract bad things to you. So bad things. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. So your home play, your cherished home play. Oh, I'll just read this before we jump in. Is RAS intentional, purposely self-sabotage? Not really, because, good question, because your reticular activating system is, it doesn't think, it just does. So it's a machine. So when self-sabotage is more, so it's just doing its job. It's just doing its job, right? So self-sabotage is deeper, is more unconscious. So is more I'm unconsciously or subconsciously, let's talk about dating, because we were talking about dating. I'm subconsciously unconscious underneath. So this is why self-sabotage is so tricky, because sometimes you don't know you're doing it. Our brains can also reason why we're doing things, and that's more your ego. We'll reason. We'll say, no, we can justify anything. People justify wars, right? Like human beings, it blows my mind how much human beings can justify things. And we justify our behavior, don't we? Justify it, rationalize it. That's your ego. So the self-sabotage is, I've got a really good story about that from eating, when we eat things we don't really want to eat. but let's stay with dating. So I tell myself, I desire to be in a loving long-term relationship. Now, you can have every part of your body wanting that. Like consciously, I mean. Every part of your conscious mind, you can journal it, you can visualize it, you can do your visual mental rehearsal, you can tell all your friends, and you can believe consciously, right, that that's what you want. Now, your conscious part of your mind, we're only operating consciously. They tell us 3 to 5% of the time. 3 to 5% of the time. My clients and I challenge that, where we do a lot of work on staying as conscious as we can throughout our day. The rest of the time, we're on a program. We're on an automatic program. So that automatic program is more powerful than your conscious. This is why change is so hard, than your conscious dreams and desires. Now, if you at 6 years old saw your parents go through a terrible divorce and decided at 6 years old that you will never get married because look at the pain it causes, then that, and you've downloaded that as a belief, that belief, our beliefs are subconscious, they're underneath, they're unconscious. We don't, until they're brought to the surface, usually someone helps us with that. I've had coaches. I was 30 when I went to my first one. I'm 53. So, and until someone that's not us can see it and pull it out, we can't see it. That's what unconscious is. So subconscious means underneath, buried. So that means if that never ever gets addressed, and you often don't know you have it, you downloaded it at 6 years old and then forgot about it, where it's lying dormant unconsciously, right? Then you will, I'm not saying will, but you may sabotage your future romantic relationships, but you won't know why. That's self-sabotage. So the reticular activating system it's just a machine. It's like a lighthouse. It's just scanning your environment for things that you're thinking about, because it thinks the things you're thinking about are important. So if I was thinking about buying a new laptop, all of a sudden, every time I went into someone's house, I'd notice their laptop. Whereas if I was thinking about buying a new couch, every time I went into their house, I'd notice their couch. Does that answer your question? Let me know. So your Cherish home play is going to raise your awareness. So remember, I said earlier, this is no blame, no shame. We're not blaming ourselves. We're not feeling shame. We're not blaming other people. This is just your own inner work. I'm going to raise my awareness to how I'm showing up in some of my relationships. So can you see any relationship patterns being repeated? Now, they may not all be ones that you don't enjoy. You might have some relationship patterns that you do enjoy. And that would be a really good thing to look at too, especially if you've got both. Well, these ones I really enjoy. How am I showing up over there? And these ones I don't really enjoy. How am I showing up over there? And can I see a difference? Right? So are you looking at any way you may be an energetic match from what we've talked about today? And if you practiced more self-love, what's something you might do in this situation? And just start to have a play. Just start to have a play in there. Oh, good. Okay. So, have you got any other questions? I'm going to be back here tomorrow at 7 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Yes, thank you. Good. Getting to understand why I self-sabotage myself. I'd like more information on the topic though. Beautiful. Thank you, Janelle. Great slides. Oh, thank you. We're not used to slides, are we? Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. So, are there any questions? Michelle, I'm pretty sure you're coming into Cosmic Heart, which is about to launch because you won it at Mind, Body, Spirit. So yes, so there'll be more information. There'll be a lot more around this there. 7 p.m. tomorrow night, Tuesday. Are we complete? I'm going to stay here until everybody's jumped off. I just like to do that in case someone's typing a question. Thank you for being here. I hope you've had some great insights. Enjoy your home. If you want to leave an insight before you leave, feel free to do that. Otherwise, I will see you either tomorrow night at 7 or catch you in the replay. Thanks so much for being here. Let's see. Oh, thank you. You're so welcome. Mwah. See you tomorrow. Bye.